Thank you. Can you all hear me? Usually I'm very loud, so I thought I didn't need this. But thanks for having me here. Super happy to be here. And I'm going to bore you to death because I'm taking you back to 2009. Who here remembers what they were doing in 2009? You might not, but I sure do. In 2009, I was a CIO in a company that was present in Senegal and in France. And I was leading a team of people in both countries and running technology. And that is that year, I was silly enough to decide that I'm going to immigrate to the US. Well, that wasn't really my decision. That was my wife's decision, which turned out to be a good one. Don't tell your mom. My son is on that, right? It was a great decision. So it sounded a little bit crazy because it was in the middle of the economic downturn in 2009. People were losing their jobs by the thousands. People were struggling to pay their rent or mortgages. That's when I decided to come here. You call me crazy, but I had a plan. And my plan was simple. I would come here, do my paperwork for my residency, and then understand a little bit how the job market works, then go back, settle my affairs, and bring my family back. And in the meantime, maybe I'll get a job. That's the plan I had in mind. And crazy enough, I went along with that plan. In March 2009, I got on a plane and got to the US. And I got shocked. I got scared as I meet my friends who were smarter than me. We went to school together. They studied more than me. And they were all doing jobs they hated because it was not in their area of study because the economy was tough. And I'm sitting here saying, I love technology. I'm going to come here and I'm going to work in something different in technology. How am I going to solve that problem? So that fear took me to dice.com. Who remembers dice.com? I think it still exists. It's a job board. So I went there and say, I am going to apply for a job. But I needed a US phone number. And at some point I'm like, if I get a US phone number, how are they going to reach me if I go back to Senegal? It's not going to work. Then I discovered this box. I don't know who remembers that. That's called Vonage. Vonage Voice over IP. It's a box that allows you to get an American phone number. And all you need is internet. Anywhere you are in the world, you can take phone calls and then emit phone calls. So I got that phone number from New Jersey, Hackensack precisely, and then put it on my resume and put it out there. And it was time to go back to Senegal. I went back to Senegal, plugged the phone, and the phone started ringing. Recruiters started calling me. There was a ton of crazy calls. I don't know if you all are in the job market. Hey, how are you, Bamba? Yes, what's your rate? I'm like, I don't even know what job you're calling me for. So, those kind of calls. But on all that chaos, there was one call that needed a Genesis developer. In my job, back in Senegal and France, I was eating Genesis for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So that's what I was specialized for. And that was my first job in the US. So why I'm telling you this story, because among all of that, there's a piece of technology that's called Vonage, Voice over IP. That was the catalyst for my immigration to the US. So I'm among the luckiest people on earth who were able to come to the US with a job in hand. And that was because of technology. Technology allowed me to shorten that time, and I'm not even moving these slides. I don't know. These are not my slides. Where am I going? Are these mine? No, they're not. I keep going. All right, let's get back. I think you did not put my slides on, but that's okay. I'm just going to keep talking. So it allows me to shorten that 5,000 miles distance to feel like I was here in New Jersey when I was doing those phone interviews with my broken English at the time. Now let me fast forward to 2017. At that time, I was working at JP Morgan Chase, and I was leading a global team of software developers that were focused on customer experience technology. You know, that technology that allows you, when you call your bank, you can talk to your banker, or you can talk to an agent and all of that. My team was building that in the US and in India. And we just had come up with a new way of doing customer experience that would serve our customers better. Then I was the technology team I was supposed to implement. And what I usually do is I want to learn the technology a lot before I hand it over to my team to go implement. So one night I'm sitting trying to test some of the use cases that we came up with. And I realized people who work in big banks, they know this. You're going to need to get an approval, to get a server, to get a phone number, and all of that is awesome. And then, when you have all of that, it takes you at least 3 months or 6 months before you test use case. And I was sitting here, I'm like, with all this fuss about the cloud, there must be an easy way to do this than just sitting here and wait for 3 months for procurement before you test anything. So I went to Google and I discovered this thing called Amazon Connect. And they claimed that in 5 minutes, you can implement all of your contact center technology and take a first phone call. And I was sitting there laughing. I'm like, liars, that is not true. But I wanted to try it, so I went ahead and pulled it up. And I kid you not, that night, I was able to implement my first use case that was going to take me 6 months to implement. And I was shocked. I'm like, if I am going to grow technologically, if I'm going to help customers, I need to be working for this company and on this product. But how am I going to do that? I knew nobody, no one. I didn't even know about Amazon Connect. The product was launched in March and I was doing this in July. So 4 months in between. There were not a lot of people that we knew that would say Amazon Connect. So I'm like, let me go on LinkedIn and try to find someone. So I went in and did my search and ran into a gentleman with a weird name, but he felt like he was up there. I'm like, okay, now I need to purchase LinkedIn Premium that I didn't want to purchase. So I bought it. I think it was $79 at that time or something, or $49. And then I wrote this email. I had 3 of them. I burned 1 email and I typed this long message telling them how awesome I was in all of the technologies that they were doing. That if they did not hire me, they would be missing out on the best person on earth. And then I submitted that message. 2 days later, I got a phone call from a recruiter telling me that that person was actually the VP of the product. And they wanted to see if I'm interested in any of the jobs there. That's how I got into Amazon. You see the pattern here. Technology again. Getting me to go to the next level of my professional career. LinkedIn was able to get me in front of someone that seemed so impossible. But that piece of technology did the trick for me. And I believe creating these connections, that's what Joko Hub is trying to do here. Making sure that all of us can find those opportunities. You'll tell me, well, you got your job from LinkedIn. Why can't we just go do that? And I'll tell you why. I think Sherifa will tell you, he pinged me a few times, right, on LinkedIn. We talk a couple of times, then 6 months go by, we talk again, and we don't get anything done because everybody's busy. And it doesn't feel like the community where we can talk as people. So LinkedIn is great, but now there's a lot of spams and people do not respond to you. So there is a need of structure so that people can actually feel like this is part of the community. Anything I do here is going to trickle down and come back to our community, and that's where something like Joko Hub really can make the difference. Now, if you still don't believe me, let me tell you this. Before this job that I have right now, where I'm building product on applied AI, I used to hire a lot of freshmen, people who are tenured and all of that. And I would sit there and say, I really am sick and tired of being the only African, the only black, the only Senegalese in a room full of 300 people. I need more people that look like me. So how do I take this opportunity and put it in front of somebody from Jollof? So what do? I try to go to LinkedIn. But when I go to LinkedIn, can I put that I am looking for a Senegalese person? I can't. I have to be fair to my company. And being fair to my company is find the right talent who is ready, who wants to go get the job, and who is willing to do what is required so that they keep the door open for people that look like us, right? But I really need those jobs to be held by Senegalese people. So sometimes I will post on some of the communities and try to look for somebody, but that's the most generic one. And that post, thousands of people see it. So you get hundreds of resumes, and how do you find that Senegalese young talent like us all? They might apply, but you might not see it because the recruiter filtering happens before you get all of the resumes that you talk to. So it really becomes very difficult to find. And that I strongly believe, based on the mission of Joko Hub, That's what Joko have been for this organization. Imagine if we all get into it, and then I can come there and say, I am looking for XYZ in a knitted community like this, and then I can help people discover the job quickly. I can coach the people to understand how to get that actual job, how to make sure that the profile that I hire is someone that is ready to succeed. And then all of a sudden, I can solve two of my problems, being fair to my company and supporting my community. Now I'm just talking about the recruiter in me, right? So what's in it for you? If you have a network like Joko Hub, now you can go find curated jobs that are posted by members of the community that are leaders in the organization. You'll have talented people and people who have spent decades in this field that can coach you, that can help you. You can prep with your interviews amongst you, and it becomes exponential. So the first person that you hire, in 2 years, they can be a mentor for someone else. In 3 years, they might be in a position where they hire, and they come back to the network and hire more. So 1 becomes 10, becomes 100, and next thing you know it, we are a powerful community. So that's why I'll leave it at this, the call to action. Number 1, lean in. And when I say lean in, it is don't just be a member that is putting themselves out there. Meaning you need to put your authentic profile. Make sure that people know what you're capable of, what you can do, that if I need a talent, I can go find it. If someone needs a mentor, they can go and find it, right? And I was talking to Musa and we were like, we don't share Senegalese people, our knowledge out there. We have so many people that know so many stuff. We don't share it. I don't think that's because we're bad people. We're excellent people. But we just don't have the structure that allows us to share. So when you come to this, be generous also. Now that there is a network, now that there is a community that puts us all together, make sure that you share what you know, right? And now if you're coming in also to try to get something for you, make sure you're specific about what you get. When people recommend people from the diaspora, from Africa, when I ask you, how can I help you? And they're like, anything I can get is fine. I'm almost done. I'm like, I can't help this person. Because if they don't know what they want, then how am I going to help them? I'm just going to take any job and tell them, hey, you've done accounting, like it's like I'm taking my son who's done accounting and trying to sit into a software developer job. Because that's what I have. So be specific about what you want. Come in and say, I've done this, I want X, Y, Z. That's what I want to do. Right? And last but not least, let's think long term. So we're doing all of this. Maybe it might not serve us directly, but it's going to trickle down to a broader community. So we're building really for tomorrow. And that's all I got for you. I hope I didn't bore you to death. Thanks for having me.